Hey everyone, Jason here at Alorium Technology, and I wanted to take this video to just revisit something we introduced, a couple of months ago now, and that is this idea of being able to update your boards, the FPGAs on your Accelerate, Snow, and Hinj boards using a web-based FPGA loader. And so we've added some more images out there. We've done a little bit of work on this, and it's still in beta mode. Not everything is perfectly the way that we want it, but I think it's in pretty good shape, and I wanted to share it with everybody because you may want to try it out. Maybe you have one of our boards and you'd like to try one of the images that we have. We've got now all of the images that are released that we make available through Arduino, as well as some of the beta images that we've put out to allow you to try other things you can get through this tool. And then we've pushed those all out into a GitHub repository also. So if you want to just be able to upload a new FPGA image to your board from the command line, you can go to the GitHub repo and grab it and do it that way too. But we're going to focus in this video on the web loader. So I'm going to transition over to my computer here and we'll take a look at how to do that, talk you through the steps, and hopefully you can find it useful. And our intention here is to continually improve this as we go forward, but we've gotten it in really good shape. The team has got this looking really good for where we are right now. And like I said, we'll make some improvements, but want to share with you, and maybe you can check it out and let us know what you think. So let's jump over to the computer and give it a try. The web loader is available at the URL rpd.aloriumtech.com. And when you get to this site, you'll see that we have a table here of the different images that are available through the web loader. And you can tab across, you can look at the Accelerate images, you can look at the Snow and Hinj, and they all kind of have this same layout where you've got the released images and then the beta images section. And what that corresponds to are the images that are available either through the Arduino IDE, in the case of the released ones, or other images that we may make available for other reasons, either a certain mix of accelerator blocks that we may want to make available to you, or something new you may want to try, like when we release the servo with the speed controller, or sometimes I'll do a demo and then we'll provide that image, so you may want to give that demo a try as well. If we look at Snow, for example, we can see that the released images here are the 16 and 32 megahertz standard release, which has float, NeoPixel, servo, and quadrature. And those correspond to what we released with Arduino IDE. So I've got Arduino running, I've got the snowboard hooked up here, sitting at my desk, and we can see the two images here. So that's what the released images are. And then these beta images are other ones available to you. But before we can program those or load those onto the FPGA, we need to actually connect to your board. So let's talk about how we do that. Let's jump up, and we need to actually connect to the serial port on your board. And that's done using this web loader app that we have sitting out on GitHub. So you can click on this link and it'll actually take you to the GitHub Alorium Web Loader page on GitHub. And this is something that we created based on a fork of the serial port JSON server by John Lauer. And so I want to give him credit for this work. This was made this fairly easy to do. And we wanted to create a separate repo for it just so we can kind of write some README stuff specific to how you're using it for our boards. But many thanks to John for creating this. And this is where you can come and grab that application. And the way you do that is right now it is only available for Windows and Mac, but you can click down. I'm running on a Mac, so if we go down to Mac OS, and we can grab this zip file, and I can actually go and download this thing. And so if I do that, it'll download a local copy of that macOS.zip, and we will jump over to a terminal window and I'll show you what you do with that. All right, I have created a separate directory here called Web Loader, so you don't have to look at the horror that is all the stuff in my downloads directory. And if I do a listing here, I've got the macOS.zip file, so we can unzip that thing. Okay, well, you'll get the serial port JSON server, which is the little application that we just talked about. And then down in this Arduino path are the tools that actually upload the RPD to the FPGA. So a lot of the same tools you would get if you were installing the Arduino IDE, and they're down in that hardware tools path, are here locally, so that when you run this little application, you can call those commands and run that tool. So we're going to start this serial port JSON server. And what this will do is this will run a little server that will go out and it'll find the different serial ports that you have connected to your machine. And then it'll open up a port to your machine that will be listening for commands from that web page. And so that's what this tool does. And if you want to read more about that, as I said, this is a fork from the work by John Lauer. We have a link here to his GitHub repo if you want to go and do that. A ton of documentation there and a lot of information about what is happening and how this works. Now let's go back to the RBD loader page. And once that's done, I'm going to refresh that page. And we'll click Get Serials, and it'll go out and it'll find the serial ports that are available. So you can see that this dropdown is not populated. This is the only board that I currently have connected. So this is the board that I have, my snowboard that's connected with one of the SparkFun BP3 FTDI breakout boards. Before we load a new image to the snowboard, I want to kind of get an idea of what's already on there. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. So I want to bring up Arduino again. I've got Git Accelerate version ready to go. If I load that onto the snowboard, we should be able to get an idea of what image is already out there. All right. So right now we've got this FPGA image. We've got the 16 megahertz R2430, and this is the example or the snow servo with speed control that's sitting down here that, the 32 megahertz one. Was it 32? No, 16. So it is this one. So this was the servo with speed control. This is the last one I burned when I was playing around with it a little bit in preparation for doing this video. So now that we know what's there, let's go ahead and move to this Snow 32 megahertz one. And what I'll do is I want to go back to Arduino, because if you recall, if you've done this before, you don't want to have this serial monitor window open, or that'll block the serial port and won't allow it to program. Now we're going to go back. I've got this snowboard hooked up here. I've got a little piece of paper over the lights. Hopefully it'll help prevent it from saturating the camera too much. And like I said, we're going to do the 32 megahertz one. Now, here's the thing. We don't have a good way to show access or show progress as it's going. Kind of like when you do with the Arduino IDE, you get that nice little, it'll write out what it's sending out to the FPGA as it goes along. And in this case, it doesn't really, we don't have a good way to do that yet. So we're just going to watch the lights blink over here to get an idea of when it's done. We're going to click Burn, and we will let it get started and do its thing. So you can see the lights flickering on the FTDI breakout there, and it takes just a minute or two. I'm just going to zoom ahead in time here until it's done. All right, it is done programming, and now we'll flip back over to the Arduino IDE. Let's rerun Git Accelerate version and see if we've got that 32 megahertz standard release on there. And sure enough, 32 megahertz float servo NeoPixel quadrature, and that is the version that we put on with this burn button. Feel free to have at it and give it a try. And but this is a great tool that works really well if you want to just easily try putting different images on there. And hopefully this will be helpful to you. That is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you very soon.